Hey everyone, Kyle once again, and welcome back to another movie review. And first, I'll say happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Hope you enjoy your time with your families. Gather around, good time with spend time with the families, and which is always a great thing to do for Thanksgiving. Of course, I mentioned just eat all the good food you can get though, but it's always good to spend time with the family on Thanksgiving. So I just want to wish happy Thanksgiving to everybody. And so, for my Thanksgiving movie review, which is also also another anniversary review, which has been a long time since I've done one. So this one marking the 10th anniversary, which came out around pretty much this time at Thanksgiving, 10 years ago in 2012. So I can't believe it's been 10 years since the year 2012. It's like the year we got Avengers. Which that was the biggest hit of that year, you know. Of those decades of that decade. So yeah, so it's been 10 years since 2012. You know, just it's like since like yesterday when we first saw the Avengers film. You know, the first one. Yeah. But anyway, 10 years ago, this time around Thanksgiving. And which I saw this in the theater, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think it's another great film from director Steven Spielberg, and it's easily the best role that Daniel Day-Lewis has given. And when I spoke with Spielberg and Daniel Day-Lewis, that is of Lincoln. Yes, Lincoln, like I said, directed by Steven Spielberg, which I have enjoyed. One of my top favorite directors of all time, my all-time favorite film, Jurassic Park, Jaws, of course, The Lost World, which I think is an underrated sequel, though, but when I talk about Steven Spielberg, there's nothing to say about him. What else than, with Hook, which actually, that was a film I don't have any problems with anymore, with Hook, But I always love Steven Spielberg. Close Encounters of the Third Kind, E.T., which I also did, though, but a lot of people like E.T. Of course, the Indiana Jones movies. Many, Always enjoyed Steven Spielberg. War of the Worlds, Saving Private Ryan, which I love Saving Private Ryan. But talk about Lincoln. I think this is another one of his best ones. Of course, speaking of like the year before this in 2011, War Horse, which I also enjoyed. War Horse. That film was also one of great of John Williams' best scores. And of course, John Williams also did a score for this film, which he also did a really great job in as well. Another great score from John Williams. But nowadays, I put this other one of Spielberg's best as well, and also it also not only helps with the screenplay by Tony Kushner, which also did a good job on the writing too, but he also has such a great ensemble cast in this film. First, you have Daniel Day-Lewis playing President Abraham Lincoln, which he easily gave his best performance. Of course, before that, he also won his Oscar for Best Actor for this film, which he deserves. But before that, he also won 2 Oscars for Best Actor for My Left Foot and what was the other one? There Will Be Blood as well. Of course, he also stars in other films like The Last of the Mohicans, Gangs of New York. But these are the best performances he's given. He as playing President Lincoln. And of course, the other great all-star cast, you have Sally Field as playing Mary Todd Lincoln, the wife, which she was also nominated for an Oscar for this as well, and Tommy Lee Jones as playing Thaddeus Stevens, which he was also nominated for Best Supporting Actor as well, which they both did a really great job in this film. Joseph Gordon-Levitt plays his Abraham Lincoln's son Robert. James Spader, of course, from the show The Blacklist, but many other films he's done years before. I enjoyed James Spader as an actor. Hal Holbrook, may he rest in peace, which he passed away last year, though. I remember Hal Holbrook from starring in John Carpenter's The Fog. He was the priest in that. Other cast members, you have Tim Blake Nelson is in there. One of them. Jackie Earle Haley, yes, the 2010s Freddy Krueger. He's in this as well. Lee Pace, who played Ronan the Accuser from the first Guardians of the Galaxy, he's in this. Walton Goggins, who has a small role in this as well, which from Justified, and he's been at the TV show Justified. He played that inmate in Predators, the second Predator movie, the third one I'm saying, Predators. He's been in those things too. Bruce McGill, also in it. David Strathairn, who's also known from. I remember starring in The River Wild with Meryl Streep and Kevin Bacon. David Strathairn, he's been in other films as well. Adam Driver. Yeah, Adam Driver. This is before he plays Kylo Ren in the new Star Wars movies. He has a small role in this as well. So yeah, just before 3 years prior to starting Star Wars: The Force Awakens as Kylo Ren, although I should say Kylo Ren because I did not like that character though. But I'm just saying though. But before then, Adam Driver had a small role in this as well. He was in that scene. He was in the scene where he was just talking almost this other guy talking with President Lincoln, just sending the telegram, right? And Daniel Day-Lewis saying, do we choose to be born, or fit to the times that we're born into? And Adam Driver is sitting there, he's like, well, I don't know about myself. You maybe. Yeah. So before starring as Kylo Ren in Star Wars: The Force Awakens, he had a small role in this as well. So you have a lot of cast members in this film. So yeah, a complete ensemble cast for Lincoln. And other ones. Jared Harris. He plays known for playing Professor Moriarty in the sequel of Sherlock Holmes, The Game of Shadows with Robert Downey Jr. He's in this as well. He plays General Ulysses S. Grant. So yeah, a lot of great cast members in this. I could talk all the time about the cast though, but of course, so the Great Score by John Williams. The film was both a critical and commercial success. Made over 180 million domestically in the U.S., worldwide 275 million worldwide on a budget of 65 million. It was a really big a box office hit, and alone a critical success. Roger Ebert, may he rest in peace, he gave this film 4 stars right here. Peter Travers from Rolling Stone calls it a great American movie, which I would say yes, it is a great American film. And the film was nominated for 12 Oscars. Of course, Daniel Day-Lewis won for Best Actor, which he deserves, and then he even won for Best Production Design. But and which Daniel Day-Lewis won widespread acclaim, won countless awards for his performance, which I said he deserves because that's easily his best performance. But anyway, all that aside though, but everything else, the film takes place in 1865. The final months of President Lincoln. Because him determined to pass the 13th Amendment of abolishing slavery, and I'm not which. Part of it was because of talk about how nowadays Lincoln is racist. I'm like, screw you. People just don't know. People think it's what pisses me off. Going off tangent, just pisses me off. People nowadays, they don't know what they don't know what history is anymore. I'm tired of saying that everything is racist. I don't want to get into politics. I don't get into politics on my videos here, but it is part of me that pisses me off when they say stuff, when they say crap like this, that they don't know nothing about history, nowadays. Hey, here's some advice. If you want to know your history, read a book or wherever. You can look online, whatever, okay? Read your freaking history, alright? President Lincoln, we did abolishing slavery and all that stuff, right? People just need to, sometimes need to get their heads out of their asses and just read up on history, Unlike me, back then, back then I was interested, in history stuff like this, with the Civil War and with President Lincoln and the World War IIs, because my dad, I learned a lot about World War II. I watched this stuff a lot of times with my dad, on the military channel or whatever, watching stuff on World War II, World War One, I want to learn about. I learned a lot about history, especially my dad. He knows a lot about stuff as well. The thing is, people just don't want to know nothing about what happened back then. And that's just freaking sad and pathetic. They just don't want to teach jack shit in our schools. Oh, they want to push all that. I'm not pushing all that stuff. I'm not gonna say anything about stuff because I'm just going off tangent because I don't want to involve politics in my videos, though. But I'm just saying, though, but hey, read your freaking history. President Lincoln was not racist, He wanted to free slaves and abolish slavery, okay? Whoever, any jackass who says, oh, he's racist, screw you, okay? You're the one who's complaining because you don't know. You're just complaining because you don't know nothing about your history. You don't want to bother looking anything up, okay? All that aside now, okay? Going back to movie reviews, I'm done with I'm just done throwing all that bullshit aside. But things that just piss me off because people just need to know read your history, okay? But anyway, back with President Lincoln, like I said, he's determined to pass the 13th Amendment and abolishing slavery, and of course with the House, the Democrats, they don't want that. Discovered about saying how the black people, what was happening, black people voting, and wherever, because of course they know about, they don't want this amendment passed, right? But given the performances with Sally Field and Tommy Lee Jones, and especially with Daniel Day-Lewis, they all did a really great job giving the performances. You got a lot of good moments with with Daniel Day-Lewis. He talking about his stories, and everyone's listening. Even though the part where President Lincoln was giving another story, and Bruce McGill, who's I've seen him in other films, like he was in Last Boy Scout. In the beginning of the Last Boy Scout, he was the guy who cheated on with Bruce Willis's wife, and Bruce Willis saying, "Head or gut, Mike, gut." And then he got blown up in his car. That was Bruce McGill. He's in this, and he's saying, "No, you're gonna tell one of your stories. I can't bear to listen to one of your stories." And it shows how what President Lincoln, how he was just loved by his people, And James Spader, he's kind of like the comic relief in this. He's like him and his other group, including Tim Blake Nelson. They're 20 votes short, so they're trying to just persuade some other Democrats to vote on saying yes, though. So James Spader and his other group of people trying to talk to these other individuals. Also, at the same time, this will help, and this will not only pass the 13th Amendment, but this will help end the war, between the Confederates and the Unions. And of course, we see Jared Harris, who plays General Ulysses Grant as well, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt, he plays Robert, Lincoln's son. He comes home, and he's saying that how he doesn't want to be a lawyer. He wants to be a soldier, And of course, I'll fess with Mary Todd Lincoln because Sally Field, because they lost their son Willie because he was sick, but now she doesn't want her other son to join the army because they said the war will take him from us, Still can't cope with the death of their other son Willie. In which I feel like she does a really excellent job performing. performance as Mary Todd Lincoln. Even to the point where they're doing that grand reception, she's like greeting the guests, you know, talking, and even the part where she's talking with Tommy Lee Jones. She gives a good speech as well, and Tommy Lee Jones, he's also did a really great job as well, especially when they're talking at the Capitol, you know, debating right between the Republicans and the Democrats, and Tommy Lee Jones, you know, telling Lee Pace, you know, who played Ronan the Accuser, he's like, you know, slavery is the only insult to natural law, you infatuous nincompoop. And then especially he gave that really good performance to that one of my favorite parts of the film when he's giving the speech on the floor, right, about, you know, equality before the law, right, and then he tells the other Democrat, this guy here, saying that how can all men are created equal when here before me stands stinking the moral carcass of the gentleman from Ohio, proof that some men are inferior, endowed by their makers with dim wits, imperials of reason, with cold, pallid slime in their veins instead of hot red blood. You are more reptile than man, George, so low and flat that the foot of man is incapable of crushing you. And the guy's like, how dare you? That guy just got roasted. Like I said, he just got roasted by Tommy Lee Jones. By Thaddeus Stevens. He's a line before it is like, even worthless, unworthy you ought to be treated equally before the law. So again and again, I say, I hold the quality of all things, only with equality before the law. And then Tom Lee Jones, he just gave a really great performance. And that's all right. He was nominated for an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor in this film, which he didn't win though, sadly though. But he just helped deserve that Oscar as well. Same with Sally Field. And then we'll get another great performance from with Daniel Day-Lewis. We just gather with his other people, are his cabinet, members of his cabinet at the table, and of course this is what we saw in the trailer, right? And saying that the 13th of this amendment is that cure. We're stepped upon the world stage now, with the fate of human dignity in our hands. Blood's been spilled before this moment. Now. This is just excellent performance from Daniel Day-Lewis. You know, this is Buzzard's guts, man. I am the President of the United States of America, clothed in immense power. You will give me these votes. And David Strathairn, like I said, he's the Secretary of State, and one performance is saying that to Lincoln's like, it's either the amendment or this Confederate peace. You cannot have both. Which obviously he did, though. He did accomplish. Just like excellent performances, you know, like I said before. I just think makes it one of the best, also one of the top lists of the best films that Steven Spielberg has directed, you know. And Daniel Day-Lewis, he's the star of the movie. Which I know he's the star of the movie. I'm saying he's the one who shines in the movie, you know. Sally Field, the same with Tommy Lee Jones. The other cast members like David Strathairn, James Spader, Hal Holbrook, even Joseph Gordon-Levitt as well. Which there's a moment where Joseph Gordon-Levitt, he's riding with his dad, and then when they stopped, you know, he sees these two soldiers, you know, carrying this wheelbarrow, blood is dripping out of it, and he sees they're dumping these dismembered arms and legs into this pit to be buried, and he's telling his father, saying that he needs to do this, he needs to join, you know, and Lincoln is saying that, you know, I've heard that same speech a lot of times from the sons of their fathers, right? And he's like, as commander-in-chief, you will not. And then Joseph Gordon-Levitt goes and says, it's not the war you're scared of, it's mom you're scared of, you know, afraid of losing me. And then Lincoln goes and slaps his son in the face. And then he goes, I have to do this, or else will be nothing at all. But even that was it was a somewhat of a grisly scene because they're just dumping a whole bunch of piles of dismembered arms and legs. I was like, ooh. And this is like with the great score by John Williams, and even the cinematography as well, like with the use of camera angles. Sometimes it starts from a wide shot, and how it's so when it comes to Daniel Day-Lewis, and it's just the camera slowly zooms in on him. Really good. Also good usage of cam work of cinematography as well. And the production design, how making the film look like it was back in 1865, it made me feel like I was in that era, at that time. And then when it came to the to the part where it came to the voting, and well, of course all the Democrats saying yes, but there were some other ones that were the Democrats were saying no, but there was a few of them that says yes, including Walton Goggins, from the TV show Justified, Predators. He even appeared in Ant-Man and the Wasp and a couple of other films as well. Oh yeah, he was in the Hateful Eight. That's what I was mentioning. The Hateful Eight, Quentin Tarantino's film. He was also in that as well. Even he says yes, and even Lee Pace and the other one's like traitor, traitor, and then Walton Goggins say, hey, you shoot me dead, I'm saying yes. And then we come, and of course, and then blah, blah, blah. Sorry. Even the speaker, he even puts in his votes, and then eventually, they won the vote. The 13th Amendment has been passed, and everyone's celebrating. Tommy Lee Jones takes the bill with them to his home, shows his housekeeper. Shows in the bill, and then which he takes off his wig because he was wearing a wig, as he mentioned earlier when he was talking to President Lincoln during that grand reception. They're down in the cellar, right? And he's like, "Oh, worse without my wig." So yeah, and it shows that he is him sleeping with his housekeeper, which turns out is also his lover as well, who was black. Yes, his housekeeper was black. Yes, and they were lovers. You say they were sleeping in the bed together. Tell him his lover to read him again. Read it, my love. Yeah. Which, yeah, the same about interracial marriage. Yes, about that time. Yes, too. So, yeah, Thaddeus Stevens was in love with his black woman, was his housekeeper. But after that, President Lincoln, he was the scene where there was a scene where they're riding through the battlefield, and all the dead bodies are there, and he's talking with General Grant, and then even talking to Jackie Earl Haley, telling him about the democracy, and then it's like him saying, "Shall we stop this bleeding?" And then by the end, where of course came the time when he was leaving to Ford's Theater, where his other son Ted was sitting at another theater watching another play, right? And then a guy comes out to the stage and says, "The president has been shot at Ford's Theater," and his younger son, Holy, is like, "Nah, ah!" And then the doctor declares President Lincoln dead. Of course, that's him. Everyone knows that President Lincoln, the first president to be assassinated by John Wilkes Booth, And the doctor, said, it's 7:22 in the morning, April the 15th. It's all over. The president is no more. And then Bruce McGill saying that, now he belongs to the ages. And then the film ends with him, giving his speech during his during the start of his second term, his second inauguration, right? So it ends with him giving his speech the time of his second inauguration. And it ends as the credits, the great score by John Williams, which you also heard in the trailer too. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoy this film. I love this film. I would put this stuff on my I would say maybe I would put this in my top 5. I'm not sure. This would be definitely my top 10 for sure. But that's hard for me to choose, though, because Jurassic Park, Jaws, maybe it would, because I also enjoy War Horse. Saving Private Ryan, I love. So yeah, maybe I have to think about that though. But Lincoln was a great film. I enjoyed it. It was great. I saw this in theater. The film is on for about how long was this film on for? 150 minutes. So 2.5 hours. Yeah. Well, without end credits though. But it didn't feel boring to me. This one I would say, because how films, especially superhero films, are over 2 hours long. Which the new Black Panther film, that was way over that was over 2.5 hours. Which that film did not need to be that long. This film was 2.5 hours, but this film did not feel long. It did not feel boring. Because I was engaged with the character, especially of the great performances by Daniel Day-Lewis, Sally Field, Tommy Lee Jones, even the other supporting cast members like James Spader, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, David Strathairn, and the great score by John Williams, and the writing by Tony Kirshner, which is also based in part of the book of Team of Rivals: The Political Genius of Abraham Lincoln. So, and the great director by Steven Spielberg, Daniel Day-Lewis, he deserved his Oscar. I would put this in the top. If I would put it at the top list of favorite acting performances, Daniel Day-Lewis would be on here as Abraham Lincoln. If I had to make a list of top 10 best performances, best acting performances, he would be on here. And so he deserved his Oscar. But the production design, the costume design, the makeup effect, the makeup and hairstyle, as they call it, the writing, the score by John Williams, and especially the acting, and even some good even there is at the start of the film, which shows like the people, the Confederates and the Unions fighting each other in the mud, There was an appearance by the guy, I forget the guy's name though, where he was talking at the start after that battle was done. That one of the soldiers, the Union soldiers, was talking to President Lincoln. I forget the guy's name though, but he's the one who starred in Fear of the Walking Dead. I forgot the guy's name though. I even forget that character's name. He was in Fear of the Walking Dead. He was like the main when he was taking the main characters, the main group there to Mexico. Because I remember watching Fear of the Walking Dead, he was he had his boyfriend there, you could say, in Mexico, which sadly he was infected and he died though. But I forget the guy's name though. But he was in Fear of the Walking Dead though. He was the character Colin or Chad, was it? I forget. It was some of that name, I think it was. But even though it was a decent action sequence at the start of the film, and this is President Lincoln is talking to the soldiers, So yeah, Lincoln was once again a great movie. Like I said, I think it was pretty much accurate, for what I see. Although I have not read this book though, but I think the last part was pretty accurate, I would say. But like I said, just not every film is accurate. If it's based on true stories, they stretch little things here and there though. But no film is perfect in their accuracy when it's based on true stories, right? But like I said, I think it was why I enjoy about the story of President Abraham Lincoln. Like I said before, sometimes people just need to read on their history, Because nowadays, when they use the term, this person's racist, he's racist, this president was racist, Especially Abraham Lincoln. I'm like, no, hell no, he wasn't. Okay? He's one who abolished slavery. He freed the slaves, Because I think I remember that during that time in 2020 or whatever, they wanted to take down a statue of Abraham Lincoln freeing a slave, I'm like, Jesus Christ, I mean, you people are such... I'm not getting into that though, but I'm just saying that's just people are. It shows how completely idiotic people are nowadays. The thing is, it shows that people, some of these people who have half brain cells do not know nothing about history, and this just pisses me off. You know, people just don't want to teach history no more, especially at times of these. Whether it be George Washington of the Revolutionary War or the Civil War, President Lincoln, all this other stuff, World War II, or any other war, you know. They just don't want to teach jack shit because they want to push all that crazy stuff in our schools and just. I'm angry. I'm stopped. You know, as I don't want to bring any more. I don't bring politicalists in my videos, okay? But the thing is, when it comes to stuff like this, history like this, that just aggravates me, you know. This advice, just read on your history, okay? That's all I'm saying. Before you start, you know, pushing all that stuff down our throats, read your history, please. Because I enjoyed reading this. I enjoyed reading stuff about President Abraham Lincoln or George Washington. You know, I did kind of like reading our history. You know, especially World War II. You know, or World War One. We need to know our history. You know. Otherwise, what's the point? What's the point of going to school if you're not learning jack shit? But no, they want to teach. The thing is though. All these gender stuff and all this CRT stuff and all this stuff that's in our schools, you know. It just freaking pisses me off. Like I said, I don't want to turn this into a political video. No, I'm talking about the film itself because when it comes to with President Abraham Lincoln, you need to know about your history. That's what I'm trying to make here. You know? But anyway, the film itself, I'm sorry, I just had to go off tangent on that though, because if they wanted to bring about history like this, some people are about to bring this stuff up, but I had to make my own point across. I just don't want to bring any politicalness in my videos, because that's not what I want about. I do movie reviews, I do other things on my own channel about animes and stuff like this, but when it comes to historical things like this, I know some point that had to be brought up. But the film itself, I enjoyed the film. Great directing, great acting, score, production design, everything. It's a film I hardly see any problems with. So Daniel Day-Lewis was top notch. Easily his best performance is playing President Lincoln. He deserved his Oscar. Sally Field, Tommy Lee Jones, and other supporting cast, they all did a great. Especially those two, they also did a really great job. Great score by John Williams. I thought it was not boring. I thought it was well paced, even for a 2.5 hour film for 150 minutes. You know, I was not bored by the movie. And I said, it's a great American film. I would say that, yes. So yeah, that's my review on my Thanksgiving / 10th anniversary review of Lincoln. Just can't believe it's been 10 years, you know, since 2012, you know. So yeah, Thanksgiving / 10th anniversary review of Lincoln. I recommend you check out Lincoln, okay? And just please, like I said, read your history, please, before you go jumping off the deep end, you know. But I'm just saying. But I will recommend watching Lincoln. I give this a thumbs up. It's one of a favorite, a Spielberg. I'll put this as a favorite, a Spielberg favorite of mine. I saw this in the theater. It was a good experience, I would say. But thanks for watching. As I said, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Enjoy time watching time with your families, and it was a good 10th anniversary for 10 years later. I think it's still a great film 10 years later. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next video, and we'll see you next time. Once again, happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you next time. Later.